slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you want.
I know you may be asking yourself how to get good at track and field. If you're a track and field athlete, my hat's off to you. It's definitely a challenging sport. We all have different events that we're better at. Some athletes are better at the 3,000 meter steeplechase. Some better athletes are better at 800 meters. Some are sprinters. I ran the 1,600 meter, 3,200 meter, and 800 meter in high school. So I definitely have background with this. I ran collegiately at Malone University under Jack Hazen. So how to get good at track and field really is a matter of consistent work over a long period of time, okay? I started running the 1,600 as a freshman in high school, running 5:30, got it down to 5:09 by the end of my freshman year. My sophomore year, I lowered my 1,600 down from 5:09 to 4:38. Junior year, went down to 4:32, and then my senior year, I got it down to 4:25. 3,200 meter, I started as a freshman running the 3,200 in 11:30. Got it down to 10:38 my sophomore year, ran 9:46 my junior year, and again ran 9:46 again my senior year. So I was always stronger in the 1,600 meter than any of my events. I ran 2 flat for 800 for 800 meters in high school as well, and 53 seconds for 400 meters. But it didn't happen overnight, okay? How you get good at track and field, you consistently train at paces that are beyond what you're currently capable of running at in your chosen event. So when I was a 5:09 miler, as a freshman in high school, I was always visualizing running in the 440s, the 430s, the 420s. I always was looking at what the top runners in my local area were running, and I was willing to put in that work in order to get good at track and field. Okay, I wish I would have started earlier in my career. Again, I started when I was 15 years old. My brother ran through shot put and discus, so I was able to watch him compete. And he said, "Hey, why don't you come out for the track team?" And really, if it wasn't for my brother Paul, I would have never got involved in this sport at all. And I found a love for running, and I was willing to put in the work for a long enough period of time. And that's what you really have to lock in terms of how to get good at track and field. You have to find out what it is, what specific event you're going to focus on. And when you decide that you want to be great at the sport, you're going to have to be willing to work several years in order to do this. You get good at track and field by earning your stripes. You get out there and you fight, and you get out there and be willing to get beat and be willing to get outside of your comfort zone. Okay, it took me from 1992 to 1995 to run from a 5:30 1,600 to a 4:25 1,600. Okay, to go from 11:30 for 3,200 meters down to 9:46 for 3,200 meters. Okay, when I got to college, I got my 1,500 meter time to 4 flat. I ran 15:19 for 5,000 meters, 24:32 for 8K cross country, 1:13 for the half marathon as a collegiate athlete, and then later ran professionally. But track and field was the start, okay? I was always, when you focus on track and field, you want to focus on finding the event that you're best at, get as fast as you possibly can in your specific race event, whether it's the 5,000, 10,000, steeplechase, the 800 meter. Work to get as fast as you can in those shorter middle distance races, so that when you transition from track and field and you move on to road racing, you're going to be dangerous. You're going to be so much better prepared because you've worked on your leg speed, you've worked on your speed and acceleration, you've worked on those training at VO2 max effort, running at paces that are significantly faster than your goal race pace. And you've improved your body's ability to clear lactic acid more effectively. That is absolutely essential. And that's to get good at track and field. That's the name of the game. You want to make sure that you're training you're working on your speed consistently and constantly. You have to be relentless in your preparation. Okay? That's why when if you're training to run a 5-minute mile, okay, running 4 consecutive 400 meters under 75 seconds per lap, you have to get to a point where you can do 12 to 16 400 meters on the track at, say, 66 to 67 seconds per rep with 60 seconds to 90 seconds of recovery in between each one of those repetitions. Okay, those types of workouts, because again, you want to get that goal sub 5-minute mile for 1600 meters, or for 1600 meters. It's a little short of a mile, but 1600 meters, breaking 5 minutes, you have to do those types of workouts. Get outside of your comfort zone so that you get that pace, that sub 5-minute pace, to feel easier for you. It's the same thing if you're training for breaking, say, 10 minutes for 3200 meters. Spend some time running at 4:30 mile pace, whether that's for repeat 200s, repeat 300s on the track. Getting down far below sub 5 minutes for 1600 meter reps. Okay, so you have to run 2 consecutive 1600 meters to break 10 minutes for 3200 meters. So again, that's absolutely essential. So you're training at sprint paces. Okay, spend some time, even if you're a 3200 meter athlete, or if you're training for the 1500 meter in college, or you're training for the 5 or 10,000 meter. Do some repeat 100s at all out efforts. Okay, of course, it's not, you're going to give yourself more recovery between each one of those all out 100 meter reps on the track in the early stages of your buildup. But again, the faster the reps, the more recovery. Okay, especially when you become more anaerobically fit. But you get good at track and field, again, by consistently working on your endurance. You consistently work on your speed and acceleration. Running over hills, okay? Running over hillier terrain is really a form of strength training, okay? A lot of times you don't even necessarily need to be doing strength training if you're training consistently over hills. It forces you to work muscle groups that you just are not going to activate on running on flat surfaces on a consistent basis. And getting good at track and field really is about believing what you're doing. You have to be hungry. You have to be relentless in your preparation. Example of that, I look at my nephew Brock. I mean, he started running right around the same age as I was. He maybe a little earlier, around 14 years old. But just recently, even last week, he ran a 14:51 for 5,000 on the track. And he was showing me, he had his splits that he was wanting to run for each one of his splits, each one of his 400 meter reps throughout that race prior to the start of his race. So it told me he was already mentally rehearsing, mentally preparing for the race and the type of time he was wanting to run prior to the start of the run, even before it happened. Okay, and his splits, he had it all written down. His end goal time for last weekend's 5,000 meter was 14:43. He ended up running 14:51, and he was boxed in a lot during that race. So I think if he would have had the perfect race, he probably would have ran right around there. Okay, so you get good at track and field also by mentally rehearsing, making sure that mental training is a part of your preparation as an athlete, as a track and field athlete. Okay, it goes beyond just physical training. The world's top track and field athletes, long distance runners, road racers, they're always visualizing what they want to do prior to the start of their races. Okay, so you have to make sure that you start mentally rehearsing, seeing yourself performing at a very high level. This is the same tactic and strategy that I followed throughout my career. So it was great to see Brock visualizing what he wanted to do, writing down his goals. Okay, that's another thing that was very critical even for me. I mean, all throughout my career, I would always write down stuff as well, write down specific splits, visualizing myself performing at a level that I just, at my current time, wasn't capable of, but I continued to prepare, and I stayed relentless on what I wanted in this sport of track and field. And then it transitioned into road racing. Okay? If you don't have a lot of talent, you can make up for this with your work ethic. Okay? The only problem is it's going to take you a lot longer than the athlete that has a high amount of genetic, physiological capability. Okay, it might take that athlete that's very talented a year or two to achieve something that's extremely difficult to achieve in the sport of track and field. Whereas it might take you a decade. It may take you 5 years. Regardless of how long it takes, the joy, you will forget all that hard work that you put in. And when you run across the finish line in that goal time that you were aiming for, okay, you didn't quit. You stayed relentless on what you wanted. That's how you get good at track and field. You're willing to put in the work longer than your competition. You're willing to study with the top athletes, the top coaches, the tactics and strategies that they teach. You're willing to visualize yourself training and competing at the level that you want on a consistent basis, on a daily basis. Okay, I hope this video is helpful for all of you. Feel free to go on RunDreamAchieve.com. You can click the About tab and see my background too. You know, I started with humble beginnings as well. I wasn't an athlete with an enormous amount of genetic talent, but I did have a work ethic that would compete with just about anybody out there. Okay, I was willing to put in the work. Feel free to leave me a comment below if you have any other questions. If anything that's on your mind, check out the resources below these videos, as well as on RunDreamAchieve.com. They'll definitely help you get to the next level, I promise you. And continue to keep in touch with me. I'll definitely respond to each and every one of you that leave a comment on my videos. And I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.